All right, so today the lesson was over equivalent fractions. What we did is practiced making equivalent fractions. So for example, if I gave 3/4, I said that you can multiply 3/4 by anything, and that will give you an equivalent fraction. The most important part is that you multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing. So whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So 3/4 times 3 times 3, so 3/3, or 3 times 3 equals 9. 4 times 3 equals 12. So that means 3/4 is equal to 9/12. Okay? So another example that you might see is 3/4 equivalent to 12/15? Okay, so what that means is they want us to say true or false. This is equal to each other. So what I might do with looking at that is break it down by the top and the bottom. So I might look at 3 and say, what did I multiply 3 by to get 12? Well, 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 equals 12, okay? But we have to use the same thing on the bottom. So what we're saying is this also has to be multiplied by 4. Well, if I multiply 4 by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, that does not equal 15. So therefore, 12/15 is not an equivalent fraction, okay? Because they have to be able to be multiplied by the same thing on the top and the bottom in the numerator and the denominator to be an equivalent fraction, okay? So something else we looked at today was reducing fractions. Reducing means taking a fraction and making it smaller. It's still an equivalent fraction, but we're doing the opposite. And we're no longer multiplying, we're dividing. What becomes important for this is that they have to have similar or the same factor involved. So let's, for example, look at 10/15. Well, I can't just take any old number and divide it by. I can't do 10 divided by 2 because you can't divide 15 by 2 evenly. But what I can do is look and see if they have similar factors. So let's see. 10, its factors are 1 and 10. 1 times 10 equals 10. And 5 times 2 equals 10. So I've got 1, 2, 5, and 10. So looking at 15, can any of those numbers be used to divide 15 equally? Well, 1, 2, and 10 can't, but 5 can. So I can take 10 and divide it by 5, and I can also take 15 and divide it by 5. So 10 divided by 5, well, 5, what times 5 equals 10? 5 times 2 equals 10. So 10 divided by 5 equals 2. And then 15 divided by 5, 5, 10, 15 is 3. Okay, so reducing fraction, it's really important. They have to be able to be divided by the same thing. So for example, and it's not always possible. Let's say I get 4/7. Okay, let's say I want to make this smaller. Well, the factors of 4, 1, 2, and 4, I could try and divide this by 2, but 7 is an odd number. I can't divide 7 by 2. It wouldn't equal out. Or the other factor was 4. I could divide it by 4, which would give us 1, but 7 doesn't divide by 4. So this 4/7 is reduced. That's as far as it can be reduced. It can't be any smaller, okay? So let's look at another reducing. Let's say I've got 12, let's go 18ths. Okay, so when I'm looking at this right away, I need to come up with ways that I can divide 12 and see if they work for 18. Or you can start with 18 and see if it works for 12. But remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So what I'm going to do is start with 18. Well, off the bat, I'm thinking of I can divide 18 divided by 2. Okay, so 18 divided by 2, hopefully we know, is 9. So whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So 12 divided by 2, hopefully we know that's 6. So 6/9 is a reduced fraction. It is not the smallest. We can reduce it though. So yeah, that's absolutely correct. We could divide it by 2. But this has another factor in common. And if you're thinking, well, I can divide both of these by, hopefully you know you can divide both of them by 6. Okay, so 12 divided by 6. Hopefully we know with our math facts, 6 times blank equals 12. 6 times 2 equals 12. Or 12 divided by 6 equals 2. Hopefully we know that 6 times 3 equals 18. So 18 divided by 6 equals 3. Okay, so that's how we reduce fractions, is by making it smaller. You have to, it has to be able to be divisible by the same number. You can't just pick a number and divide it by. It has to be, you have to use this, a number that works for both numbers. Now, making equivalent fractions, you can just multiply it by anything. You can multiply it by 4. You can multiply it by 9. You can multiply it by anything if you're making it bigger. But if you're reducing, which means make it smaller, then you have to have a common factor. Okay? Please let me know if you have any questions.